Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, guests, and new members. Yay. The Successful Club Series is an advanced manual, I guess, for lack of a better term for it, but in that Successful Club Series, there's lots of different speeches that Toastmasters can give. And this particular one is about keeping your commitment to the club. And as we go through this, there's actually in front of you the Toastmasters Pledge, which is what this particular speech is based off of. I will be going through each one of these and sort of talking to at least what the manual talks about is part of, or what each 10 of these items are. But at the same time, I will give my own personal perspectives about them as well. To begin with, there are 3 items on that list. The first 3 items are about our participation in Toastmasters. For example, for item number 1, it says, attend. Sounds easy, right? As we know, with everyone's busy schedules and things like that, attending sometimes can be a challenge. However, as often as you can attend, you should attend, because it not only helps your development, but it also helps others in their development too. Because when we are not here, we're not able to share our perspectives about their speeches or to give input in the meeting. Therefore, our meeting participation and actually attending is crucial not only to our development, but to everybody else's. The second one is about participating in speeches and participating in leadership opportunities. For example, all these individuals who are doing roles today, like the Toastmaster with Larry stepping into that role, or Suzanne doing the timer role, or Checho stepping in to do a speech evaluation, all of those are important for their development as Toastmasters as well. All of us, even if we've been in Toastmasters for a really long time, there are still things that can happen on a daily basis in a meeting where you have to think on your feet. You have to improv. You have to do some of those things that, as Table Topics does for us, helps us to think on our feet. So when we place ourselves in these roles, we realize, oh, things can happen. We might not be able to actually get our lovely podium, because the doors are locked. That was unusual last week, but we figured it out. And lastly, from a participation standpoint, we also want to take on the roles in the meeting. And these roles help us to do all kinds of things. If you look at your leadership manual, your competent leadership manual, it will talk about the things that you'll learn by doing them, such as critical thinking skill. That's very important for us. Or being able to give feedback to people through a speech evaluation or the general evaluator role. All of these are critical skills that we need to learn. The next 4 items on your Toastmasters Promise list have to do with interaction. Those constructive evaluations, right? One of the things that we could do probably better as a club is that we go and look for, if we know that we're going to be a speech evaluator, we can go out, if we don't have the manual, for instance, we can go out on Google and we can search for the evaluation form for whatever project out of whatever manual. And oftentimes, somebody somewhere in the world has posted a PDF of that evaluation form. So long before we actually come to the meeting and actually do an evaluation, we can look at what's the criteria, what are we looking for, things like that, so that we are prepared before we walk in. Now, it's wonderful that we all come here and it's like, oh, I didn't know about this speech. Oh, let me look at the criteria, and we do it sort of on the fly. But I think that we could do a better job in being able to be a little bit more prepared for that. Another important part of interaction is the fact that we want to create a great club environment, one that's welcoming to new people, to our visitors, one that we reach out to people and say, do you need help? Do you need some assistance with something or anything like that? Another one is to serve as an officer. For those of you who have not served as an officer, I think that if you spoke to anyone who has served as an officer, they will tell you that each role has its challenges and has its rewards. For instance, our lovely Sergeant at Arms, who has now done this for 2 years in a row, has done a fabulous job keeping all of our supplies up to date, making sure that we have materials so that we can conduct our meeting efficiently, because since we are a noon meeting from 12 to 1, sometimes being able to set up quickly and get out of here quickly is really important. So her role, as all of our roles as officers, are really crucial to how well we run as a club. And then, of course, treat everyone with respect and courtesy. I think we do that really well. So I won't say much more about that one. Finally, the third area when it comes to the Toastmasters Promise has to do with club quality. And what that means is we want guests to come. And we actually do have a lot of guests who come to our club. And we're not sure exactly where they come from, but we're so glad that they do. Because having guests and having new ideas when people join, having new perspectives and having new ideas, and getting to hear such great speeches, you know, we learn so much beyond just being a Toastmaster that I find it fascinating when people get up and give speeches. I love to hear them. And we must adhere to guidelines and make sure that we adhere to ethical standards. Now, what that can look like is something like this. Recently, in the last couple of weeks, Alex and I went to another club down around Des Moines, Washington, and we served as judges in a contest, in one of the club contests. And part of it is we got an email asking if we knew any of the people participating in the speech contest. Because if we did, if we already had some knowledge of them, if we were in a club with them somewhere else, we actually could not be judges. So being honest about that is crucially important to our ethical standards as a Toastmaster, so that we can make sure that contests are fair to every contestant. Things like that make us the quality club that we're intended to be. So what does all this mean to us as a club? Toastmasters Promise, yeah, okay. What does it mean to us? Well, to me, what this means is that all of us, we join Toastmasters because of the fact that maybe we wanted to get better at public speaking. Sometimes you may have somebody who also knows about the leadership part of what Toastmasters is all about. Very few people do know about that one, though. So you come in with your own personal agenda. You come in with your own ideas about what it is that you need as your single self. But you come into this club. We are all a team here. We all are helping each other to not only increase our skill sets, but to learn how to speak in public, to be better leaders, to learn how to give effective evaluations. And all of these skill sets that we learn can be translated into other aspects of our lives, such as certain roles that we do in the workplace, or other clubs that we belong to, or anything like that. I teach at a university that requires a certain amount of the curriculum to be done by teams. So, as you can imagine, there are times when I have teams who will complain about a team member. So what do you think the biggest complaint is about team members? Any guesses? Not doing their share. What did you say?
Lazy one.
Lazy. Yeah, so both of those are in the same ballpark, and that is the number one complaint about team members, is that somebody's not pulling their weight. And the second most complained about thing is that I try to reach out to them, I try to call them, I try to email them, and they don't respond. That's the other big complaint. So what does that mean to us? What that means to us is, if there's only a core group of people who are always Toastmaster, do you think that that might be starting to weigh on them a little bit, as if they're the only people who will step up to be Toastmaster? Now, in the grand scheme of things, what that can equate to is, I've been Toastmaster so many times. I wish other people would step up. You know, I think I'm going to take a break from Toastmasters, and then we never see them again. That could be the worst case scenario. Therefore, it's all our responsibility to take that competent leadership book, or the competent communicator manual, or whatever advanced manual you're working on, or whatever advanced leadership path you're working on, and be constantly aware of, what do I need? and go out to Easy Speak and say, oh, I need to be timer. I need to finish up this one project. Go click it off. I will do this on this date. And next week, the thing that I will do in the speech next week is to actually go through all the parts and pieces of the communication track, as well as the leadership track in getting to the Distinguished Toastmaster level, so that you have a roadmap of everything that needs to be done. Not to overwhelm you, but to at least educate you on the things that are coming so that you can start planning ahead. And you can take your manual and you can say, okay, I need this and I need that. And so every time, if you're doing timer every single week, it's not gaining you anything. Because after about 3, you're done with that part of the leadership manual. It's all done, right? So you need to move on to some other roles. But at least I think you'll start to see where there are places that you can take a step up and be a little bit more proactive in how you contribute to the group. Okay? So your Toastmasters Promise is something that I wish you would take with you today. Take a look at that and ask yourself, where in that do I need to step up a little bit more than what I have been doing in the past so that I can be a contributing club member? Mr. Toastmaster.